At the Health Equity Evidence Centre, we are really proud to share our how-to guide to co-production in the NHS. And in this video series, we're hearing directly from the authors about what co-production really means to them. What we'll be exploring in this video is what is one co-production experience that has really stayed with you and why? And I think first we'll come to Lucy. Over to you.
I'm going to cheat a bit with my answer and mention two of the people on the call today. I was thinking about this prior to this video, and I've got loads of really positive co-production experiences that have really enriched me and kind of helped me become a better researcher and almost undeniably a better person as well. But yeah, I think for me, the work that I've been doing with Equal QI and for my work for the Health Equity Evidence Centre has been really, really important for me. So I've been working with Shabir and Taslim and a few others for a couple of years now, which seems like a ridiculous thing to say because it's felt like 2 minutes, but having this kind of ongoing PPI group that we work with, and I know that there's overlap between PPI and co-production, but I think fundamentally what we're doing is co-production in our group, I hope anyway, as much as we can do. And it's been really, really great to have these ongoing connections that are sustainable. And I think one of the problems, and I'm sure we'll be able to have a conversation about this with co-production, is the fact that there's often this kind of bounded, the money runs out and it stops sort of thing. And that can be very disappointing for everyone involved. But having this longer project with a fairly stable group of PPI contributors has been amazing, and has we've kind of grown the project together. And I think also just to flag that I think we've worked in a way that's really, well, I think it's an example of good practice because Taslim interviewed me for my job. So I think that really tells you kind of how we've been operating here. And I was just like thinking, I was like, you were on my interview panel, Taslim. And I think that's great that it's not just been me coming in and saying, what can you tell me about this? I do think as much as we can, we've managed to have that really equitable relationship that even started with you deciding whether or not you wanted me in the role, which I think is a really, really good thing. And I think we should be doing more of.
Oh, amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Lucy. And maybe on that note, we should go from interviewee to interviewer and ask Taslim, what is one co-production experience that stayed with you and why?
Think I would say firstly, palliative care. When I did the co-production for that was closer to my heart because um, my daughter's sister-in-law passed away at that time, and she was very young, to age of 22, and we had a lot of problems with the hospital and stuff. So there was a lot of stuff that came out that I didn't really know about that we should have asked the hospital, for the help and how they treated her and stuff like that. So I think for me that was very one I would remember. And the other one is the video I made, which was about GPs, overloaded GPs who didn't know how to cope with patients. So they were promoting how a physiotherapist can be involved in a GP surgery within the GPs and help the patients more. So I think that was one I would remember as well. Yeah, enjoyed.
And having seen that video myself, I must say it's a really powerful one. And we'll see if we can pop a link when this video goes live so everyone else can see it too. Thank you for sharing both of those
Thank you.
experiences. And Amy, can I come to you and ask what's one co-production experience that stuck with you?
Yeah, and I find it quite hard to pull one out. So I'm probably going to follow Taslim's lead and pick two, because I think so there was one experience I had where I was working with communities experiencing quite significant deprivation, and as part of the work that I was doing, I was like a lot of the conversations that I was having, I was invited into people's homes to have them, and I think that for me has really stayed with, and people would share food, and it's really stayed with me as a kind of I guess there's so much more that you learn when you come out, and it's not always possible. I'm not saying this always, but there's so much more that you learn when you come out of your own kind of headspace. And actually it's a really huge privilege to do this kind of work, and people's people kind of the I'm not formulating this very well. I think like people's kind of welcome, like people's kind of and the sort of the trust and the ability to share honestly. I find it absolutely amazing. So that's something that really stays with me. But also I've really enjoyed working with this group and exploring, like having the chance to explore kind of ideas and theory around co-production, because that's really not something that I've done before, apart from trying to do some reading by myself. And actually I've really, really benefited from like the collective expertise of this group in terms of helping me, just think about it. So I'm really grateful to everyone for giving this space as well.
Fantastic, Amy. Thank you for sharing. And I think finally, if we come to Shabir and ask you, what's one experience that stuck with you and why?
So I'm going to share a little bit as well, and say I can't exactly think of one particular experiences, but I have had bad experiences and good experiences, and which have both stayed with me. And I think generally, bad experiences have been when you've left a workshop really frustrated because you've not had any kind of discussion. Some people have it's become kind of monologue. Some people have just spoken all throughout the workshop, not giving other people a chance, and you've left there, and the researcher has not really managed that workshop very well because they don't really want to tell people to limit their kind of answers, that kind of thing, give other people a chance. So in those kind of situations, they've really frustrated me, and I've really thought it's not really worth doing this anymore. That's how strongly I felt in those circumstances. But then we've had workshops which are completely the opposite, where you had a lead or a researcher who's really prepared before they've come, prepared the research questions, and managed the group and asked the questions, and the group has all had a chance to answer questions. And then there's been a discussion. There's been disagreement as well.
Yeah.
But again, the researchers, because they've been prepared and they've thought about the workshop before they've come, they've managed to manage those disagreements and things like that. So in those kind of workshops, I've left with a kind of really hopeful kind of feeling, and hoping that we've got that felt good, and I felt that I've made some impact there, made some possibly some changes there. And Lucy mentioned, I mean, I think I remember EcoQI before Lucy came, and we were quite confused a lot of the time because of the terminology. And after Lucy came, that changed drastically because she really went out. She's one of those researchers who went out of her way to explain things to us, even when people were asking kind of irrelevant questions. She wouldn't lose patience with us. She always looked at novel ways of kind of approaching things, and activities that we could do that could kind of bind the group together as well. So she's always thinking out of the box in that sense. So she would be a really good example. I'm not trying to give her a big head, a really good example of a good positive experience of research.
Fantastic.
I'm going to go bright red on camera now. Thanks.
But no, that is absolutely brilliant. And I think one thing that struck me from you all speaking is that those experiences that you're having, both good and bad, aren't just shaping the piece of work that you're working on as well, the piece that's being co-produced. I think you've all in different ways talked about how your experience with co-production has shaped what happens beyond the piece being produced and how it influences your wider work and your wider life too, which has been really interesting to hear about. And I think, Lucy, would you have anything to add there?
I think from my reflections are that most of this is about relationships, and most of this is about building strong relationships that have trust. And like Shabir said, if there's, conflict or disagreements, it's about being able to manage them well and fairly and considerately as well. But in the way that you would with any other professional role, to be honest, or actually with your friends and family. And I think it's kind of about viewing these relationships as being central rather than, you can do all kinds of amazing co-production activities, but they will not work if that building block of a strong relationship isn't there. And I'm sure we'll talk about this, at a later date, but really, like, the people are what makes it. and the relationships between people are what enables co-production to work.
And so I think we're hearing in this video lots of good examples of how things can be done well, and how, coming back to what Lucy says, so much about this is about relationships and is about connecting with people that have a shared purpose, who are all trying to do the right thing at the right time for the right people. And to me, that really gets to the heart of what co-production's about. And if you're watching this video today and you'd like to learn more, then I would certainly point you towards the how-to guide to co-production in the NHS that's available on our website. And thank you for watching, and it would be great to see you again soon.